Stars in the sky, cards in my hand, searching for signs, lost in the sand. Whispers of fate, echoes of dreams in the dark slate. Nothing's as it seems. Flip the cards, turn around. Mysteries we have found. In the shadows we dance. Take a chance, take a chance. Ghostly figures, guiding light. Readers and seekers in the night. Hopes and fears, written in gold. Truth appears as stories unfold. Stars in the sky, cards in my hand, searching for signs, lost in the sand. Whispers of fate, echoes of dreams in the dark slate. Nothing's as it seems. Flip the cards, turn around. Mysteries we have found. In the shadows we dance. Take a chance, take a chance. Ghostly figures, guiding light. Readers and seekers in the night. Hopes and fears, written in gold. Truth appears as stories unfold. Flip the cards, turn around. Mysteries we have found. In the shadows we dance. Take a chance, take a chance.
Hello and welcome to my tarot. I don't know, what is this? Tarot Tuesday? So essentially what I wanted to do was to talk more tarot. So I do tarot reading at Laloon Metaphysical on Thursdays up in Hagerstown, and I read at Soul Aura on Wednesdays in Frederick. And I give a class. I have a class coming up in a week, or it's not even a week. Am I prepared? I have a class on demystifying the minors, coming up this weekend. So I just like talking tarot. So I was curious to see what would happen if I just started doing Tuesday nights. See if people were interested. I can do readings for people. I've got a couple new tarot decks that I think are pretty cool, so I thought I would show those off also. So that's what it basically comes down to, is it's just a chance to reach out and see if anybody has any questions. So a little bit about myself. I've been doing tarot. I picked it up when I was about in my 20s, like a lot of people. And I got the books, and you get all these books, and the books give you all these keywords, and they teach you what the colors are, and they teach you about the astrology, and they teach you, and man, was I confused with all that. So in my 20s, I did the best I could, but it's like, put it down a little bit. But I picked it up again, started getting the keywords down and things like that. This time I was a little bit older. Started reading, starting kind of to get it, and I wasn't ready yet, because all of a sudden the tarot started speaking to me, and I was at that point in my life where what it was telling me was not comfortable Oh, what fell? Oh, interesting. So, but I wasn't comfortable, so I put it down again. And I picked it up again. And it kind of clicked when I started asking myself the one question. I kind of always tell this story, but I asked the one question. What was it like before the first tarot books were read? Because I found out that when you look at these tarot books, and they're all important, and I suggest get the tarot books. It's important to do that. To learn, to read, to find out from that way. So, but by looking at the history of the tarot, all of a sudden the tarot started making sense. The keywords in the books were correct, but they weren't giving me, personally, the reasons why. They were giving me astrological reasons why the emperor meant this, and they were telling me about Libra when looking at the justice card because of the scales, and they moved that card to a different location. It was originally in number 8, and they moved it to 11, and all that stuff confused the heck out of me. But once you look at the history, it kind of starts to make sense. So I had I'd gone to Italy, and I had seen in the piazza the tarot cards carved into the walls. I saw Temperance holding the 2 jugs like this. I saw Justice card sitting up, carved in the piazza. Didn't have a blindfold on, looks just like the Justice in the card. And I realized that anybody in the 15th century wouldn't have been able to read the tarot because they would have instinctually have known what all that was. So that's where I developed, and that's where I started studying tarot history, and that's where I got so interested in it. So now I'm sitting here looking over here, and I've got trays and boxes full of historical decks going all the way back to, the 1400s on up. And then I decided I need to start teaching it. So that's what I was doing. And then a couple years ago, I decided to start doing morning meditations. So now, if you look and see, you'll see I have I think this is 696 videos, if we're going to count this one. So tell me that's not crazy. So I do a morning meditation every morning. And I found that to be important because we always hear meditation's a good thing, tarot journaling's a good thing. And I agree it is. I found that I could do a tarot journal by just doing a video. So that's why Monday through Fridays I do that. So that is my basic gist right there. So I thought for today, I see we've got a few people here. Again, if you want a reading, if you want to just see how I read, because I read intuitively, which basically means that since I'm not quite using the books, it's familiar. But I've always said when I teach, the cards, do you want to believe the cards or do you want to believe what's in the books? And with intuition, we sometimes don't trust how we feel. So we'll do our spread. We'll lay it out and we'll get 3 cards and we'll see the card and we'll flip the card over. And we'll get the 3 of Wands and we'll pull out the book, and the book will say, going forward, Wands, passion, energy, moving forward, da, 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 da. But it's like, this card might be beside another card that could completely change its meaning. And if you look in the book and it tells you one thing, and yet the person you're reading for looks at that card and they say, oh my gosh, that's absolutely reminds me of when I was standing on the edge trying to decide to do with my life, and I have nothing but negative feelings about that when I see that card because this is what it reminds me of. So do you want to take the story of what the person is saying and listen and then say intuitively, it's like, wow, that's important. Let's see what the next card is to see where their story goes to. So that's what I mean about reading intuitively. Because reading can get really emotional. When you're reading for somebody, it might pull up things that they normally wouldn't want to discuss. I'm really good, especially with skeptics, because I do kind of like a rational tarot, where I explain to somebody that, especially if they've never had a tarot reading and they're kind of skeptical. So I've got a event coming up. I'm doing a birthday party, and I like to explain to people that there are different ways to look at it, and nobody's way is wrong. But one of the ways that I look at it is as with rational tarot, which means we can see the cards as their archetypes. We can see them. So if you've ever heard of the Rorschach test, it's that ink blot test. Somebody holds up an ink blot. One person says it looks like a butterfly. Another person says it looks like their mother. Well, we're pattern-seeking people. It's called pareidolia. And so what that means is that we want to find patterns. So I'll explain to somebody who's never had a tarot reading that when I lay out the cards, we'll start to see patterns that reflect in our lives. Because I was told a long time ago, you can't fix what's up here with what's up in here. So I'll explain to somebody that the cards, when we lay them out, we'll start creating this pattern, and they'll start talking to us in a voice that's not our own, because we start to see patterns. And we all have this nonverbal side of our brain. We have, we're looking out 24/7. Our eyes and our ears are constantly listening and gathering information. But we only recognize and see what we think is pertinent. But we have this part when we meditate. We have this part that doesn't use words. It's this part that we connect to unconsciously. And it will see the symbols on the tarot. It will see the images there, and it will bring forth a story. It will tell us what we're seeing if we trust it. And so again, trusting keywords is one thing, but when you get that feeling, we've all had that feeling that said, I knew it. Why did I do that? What was I thinking? Well, that's the point. That's that nonverbal side of our brain telling us what to do and things like that. So welcome to any new people. So yes, I'm just kind of discussing here and talking about what got me into tarot. If somebody wants a reading, demonstration of how I do readings, other than the 696 videos that I have already, I can certainly do that. If anybody has any questions about the tarot, about the cards, about tarot history, or any interesting facts, because that's the other thing. We're all here to learn. We all find this interesting. We saw the word tarot in the title, and something said, hey, let's check this out. So, how is everybody? Somebody say hi. I see we have people here. Anybody want to just say hi? Anybody I know? Or do you just want to be shy? That's fine. So, one of the things, though, that I thought I would talk about is some of the new decks. But first, what I'm going to do is what I normally do in the mornings. And I'm going to start this off with a quick tarot reading. So, and I'm going to kind of do more of an explanation of how I do the readings, instead of just like I normally do. That way, sunshine and chaos. Hey, oh, soul shine and chaos. Well, that's cool. So I do these readings in the morning, and sometimes people ask questions and things like that. And so what I'll actually do here is I'm going to demonstrate actually how I do the readings. Just so that often when I'm reading for people, things will come up, stresses in life. And the thing about the tarot and the focus here is there's positivity to be found. in all the cards, in all the readings, in all of our lives. So I do this tarot meditation in the morning to try and remind myself about that, especially with everything that's going on. So I'll be reading for somebody, and I will often ask them this simple question. And that simple question is, after we do this discussion and I hear their stress, I'll ask them a couple of things. I'm Ginger. Hey, Ginger, how are it? Soul shining. Yes, absolutely. So I've already talked about soul aura. So Ginger has this amazing store in up there in Frederick. That is, I wish I could have made it there Saturday for the open mic, but I will definitely be there tomorrow. So I'm excited about that. But the main thing when I'm reading is that the two things I ask. One, see how my shoulders are right now? I ask somebody, when's the last time you breathed? And all of a sudden they'll just say, I have no clue. And I'll ask them if they can just take a breath. And I watch their shoulders go down. And it changes everything in the room. It changes how they're feeling, because they may not have, we tense up. We may not have breathed, had a breath in a month. And when we're constricted taking those short breaths, that's that fight or flight thing. But when we relax, then we can start to pay attention. So then I'll start a reading. And as we're going through, oftentimes I'll hear people explaining how they are stressed and how life is stressful and things are going on. And when we're doing a reading, we want to pay attention to what people are saying, because that guides our reading as much as anything. There are no coincidences. Everything is an omen. A tarot reading doesn't start when you pick up the cards and start flipping them over. A tarot reading starts the moment the querent walks into the room, because they're already forming that connection with us. They're forming a connection with the room. They're forming a connection with the universe. And all of that is going to influence how the reading comes along. And I do believe in that multiverse thing where if they stop for just 5 seconds to look at something, that's going to pause me for a second. And that five seconds they paused means that my next shuffle will be delayed 5 seconds. And that connection to the universe is just changed for that reading. So with tarot reading, it's not just the cards. It's the atmosphere in the room. It's the things that lead up to finally flipping the cards over. So sit down where their shoulders at. I'm gonna patent a machine. Okay? And this machine, I should have recognized, by the way, when you said hey like that. My gosh, Ginger. But I'm going to patent a machine that's going to be a shoulder meter, so we can see where somebody's shoulders are, so they can see where they're at. So anyway, they sit down. I got them breathing. We start doing the reading. And with all the stress and everything that's going on, I ask a very important question of a lot of people, because it's a commonality, it's a similarity in a lot of people. I ask them, especially if the Hermit comes up, if the 10 of Wands, which is all about that weight that we put on our shoulders that we're not sharing with people. We get those later swords where we're stressed. I ask them, where's your mountain? And they're like, what? I'm like, if you need someplace to go to breathe, where's your mountain? And they kind of pause there for a second. I have to explain. Do you see this room here? This room right here is my tarot room. It's full of antiques that are over 100 years old. I have history in this room. I have all these things like that. And it just makes me want to close my eyes and just bask it in and relax. This is my mountain. And I'll talk to a lot of moms and I'll talk to a lot of dads and people, and they'll say, I don't have a mountain. And I'll say, that's the problem. That's why you have those swords, those wands. So I'll ask them, especially after the reading, it's like, why don't we find a mountain? It could literally be a mountain, or it could just be cushions in a corner. It could be just a candle. And Jenna's heard me talk about this before. Jenna Q, given what you said about walking into the room, thoughts on before, tarot, and after. Came in late and went back to rewatch in fast mode until I caught up. Jenna, it's good to see you. So Jenna is this amazing author. I've lost count of how many books you have, Jenna. But I am looking forward. I just went to her tarot journaling class, and I am looking forward to going to her next one. If you haven't noticed, I'm a tad bit ADD and really easy to get distracted. But I generally come back around to the conversation. And that conversation is, we've taken a breath. We've started the reading. We see all the wands. And the question of where's your mountain? And I can ask anybody here, where's your mountain? You know, where can you go when the kids are just running around crazy, or we just need a little bit of solitude? I come into this room here. It could be pillows. It could just be an altar. It could be anything. And sometimes we need a light switch that says, I'm now going to meditate. And I've noticed in meditation classes that I've taken, they kind of exclude this part. They say, I'm now going to ring the bell. They don't say what that means. So what we need is a light switch. And again, Jenna's heard this because she shows up in the mornings. But we need a light switch. Something that says, not only do I have a mountain, but now it's something that says, I mean, we've heard of Pavlov's dog. You know, every time you rang the bell, the dog would start salivating. When I shuffle my deck, it reminds, I always say, I listen to them like the sounds of the ocean. And I take a breath. That's my light switch. I've been doing this for so long, for thousands of readings, that it's now automatic. And I suggest to people that when you find that place, it's like we need something that says light switch. Light a candle, ring a bell, clapping hands, a mantra. But when we do it enough times, look at this. I'm sitting here, and just by doing that, it's like I realize my eyes are closed because that's my habit. And I am not, I mean, I've never taken really formal meditation. I've gone to meditation. I've read about meditation. This is just instinctual stuff. But, you know, when doing that reading and talking to somebody, and I'm talking to you now as somebody who, I'm hoping that we spread this seed of positivity out there with what's going on. That's the other reason for doing this, because I hear so much negativity. Oh, okay, so I'll finish that up. So, because I'll talk about that. But taking a few minutes out of our day to where we can see our angers or resentments, you know, where we can see how we're feeling, because later on the day, somebody is going to trigger that. And if I'm angry, if I'm resentful, and I've looked at it in the morning, and I thought, my gosh, I woke up feeling bad. I woke up just waiting for just that one person to say something to me. I'm waiting for somebody to cut me off in traffic. Then, if we take that breath, we're like, all right, I'm going to leave 5 minutes early because I know that somebody's going to cut me off, and I'm just going to yell and scream. So maybe I need to leave 5 minutes early. That to me is part of the meditation that's important each day, is that recognizing where we are. Nothing fancy, it's about just finding ourselves in the universe and then putting ourselves in there. So, the other reason for doing this, because I know so many positive people. I mean, I know a Gina also, but Ginger, Jenna, so many people in my life. I've surrounded myself with so many positive people. What I realized is, hello, Rhonda Duncan, how are you? I'm kind of rambling right now. I will be doing readings for people who want an explanation of how I do my readings in the morning, all that wonderful stuff. So welcome. But one of the reasons why I'm thinking about doing a regular thing on Tuesdays, and I can say that Ginger and Soul Aura is another reason for doing this. Hi again, Ginger, is because her shop is so positive. It's just it's kind of a hippie trap. She's got this hallway that this alleyway that she wants to decorate and call it a hippie trap, but it's really just this positive place. So I was sitting there talking to somebody, and they're like, Jamie, you know what? If you just started doing fortune telling, and if you started, look at all these people out here who get millions of views. It's like, oh, earth-shaking, shattering stuff and doom and gloom. It's like, where are we going to go in politics today? And all this, all this stuff that you see on the news. And they get so many views because we doom scroll. We do all that stuff like that. And there's no way in heck. Okay, I spent a good portion of my life in sales. I was a car salesman for 8 years. I know how to sell. If I wanted to sell videos, I could. It's easy. I could just sit there and do what some people do that I know. I live a weird life. Have you seen my tarot room? I'll show that. By the way, I'll actually show you my tarot room. But the point here is that I wanted to see if I could do something that's positive. Something that doesn't have to be doom and gloom for the 10 people that are more interested in that than the 6,000 people who would join if I was just to be doom and gloom and dark and mysterious and all that stuff like that. Hello, Angela. So that's kind of what's going on here, because, man, I tell you what, we all know it's a bitch out there. We already know it. Do you think we just need to keep reinforcing that? I know it. My paycheck is getting more useless every day. We know this. But you know what? We're in the same boat. And I talked about it the other day, and it's like, actually, I think it was from this morning. This morning I think it came down to, if we can just plant one positive seed, who knows where that will grow. Who knows? So, anyway, that's kind of where all that comes down to, and that's why I'm here. Because, we're all in this together. So, one thing I was going to do is that I often get asked about my tarot room. Now, anybody notice just in the picture anything in particular that might give you a clue as to what I collect? I don't know if y'all can see it very well, but this is my backdrop. It's not a green screen. So, what I collect are historic Ouija boards. I have Ouija boards in here that go back to 1890. The very first Ouija boards before the Ouija board was quote-unquote patented, where it says registered and trademark. So that's one of the very originals. And so I thought I would Well, it would help if I had the microphone on there. Whoops, sorry about that. I'm going to add the microphone on there because I was going to show you something. So let me do that real quick. 10 seconds. Okay, maybe not. All right, I was going to try and do that really quick, but I can still show you stuff real quick. So, but this is my tarot room. Sorry about losing the microphone there for a second. But this is where I do my readings in the morning. This is where I come to meditate, to think. I'm going to try finding that microphone one more time because I was going to show you my tarot cards also. Let me try that one more time. I added this remote, well actually, it's called Droid Cam in case anybody's wondering. So it actually runs on my phone. And it uses the phone camera. And I use Streamlabs desktop. So let me try this again. There we go. Okay. Now we've got that going. So anyway, so yes, this is just my phone. It's called Droid Cam. And for those of you out there who are using Streamlab or need to be able to stream a decent quality camera, you can use your own camera. So anyway, as I was saying, but this is my tarot room. And including books. See these? Hope True Blood and Messages from Oscar Wilde. These are all books that were written on a Ouija board. So I've also got one that is at the Salem Witchboard Museum in Salem, Massachusetts. And he's actually got it on display because he's doing an exhibition on books and things that were written on a Ouija board, which was a popular thing at one time. As you can see here. Ouija turns poet. So, but that's my life. So and yeah, really. So what that really comes down to is that this is my sanctuary. And people were wondering about that. So that is that. And again, I'm going to say if anybody's got any questions or if they want to see how I do the reading. Oh, that's what I was going to do. I was going to show you because there was a question about, there's nothing mystical about the way that we read when we do the tarot. And it's interesting. I love seeing how other people read. But I've never kind of gone behind the scenes on reading the tarot. I've talked about rational tarot and what that means. And that just means that I try and connect people to the cards logically using real words, not metaphysical words that, that mystify and confuse and leave people, they leave some tarot readers more distraught than they came in. And it's like, they're like, but if you can come back, it's like, let's do this again. Let's do that again. It's like, in in all reality, I don't need to read tarot for a living. Don't tell Mina I said this, but she makes me charge. I would sit back and do it all day long. But also I need to charge because in the areas where I read, there are professional readers who rely on that, and they're really good readers. There's Lily up at Stepping Stones in Frederick, who's a wonderful person, and I just know some other people, so that's why I charge. Anyway, but the thing that I try and do is I try to bring it to earth when doing a tarot reading. I try to, and I suggest this for people, and if you're getting a reading, you're paying $50, you're paying $75, you're paying $10. Don't forget to ask questions why something means something. So when I do a reading in the morning, I come in, I get my cards out, and I do the shuffle, and I breathe. Make sure my shoulders are down. And then I split my deck into 3. Why do I do this? So this came about because of COVID. So I know there's people on here who've seen me do this probably 100 times, but I've never explained why I do this. So during COVID, it used to be the thing for people to shuffle cards. And to tell you the truth, I was never comfortable with that because I don't feel like most people are comfortable shuffling the cards, because these things are really thick. And you'll notice I don't do this because, where you take it like this and do this, because if you've ever tried doing that with a tarot deck, it's twice as thick as a regular deck. So people aren't that comfortable with it. So I made an agreement with the universe that I would do the shuffling for them, but I want people to connect somehow to the deck. Now, I just have people point it out. And I find that people are much more relaxed with that than getting the deck and not knowing what to do with it. But again, as I said before, there are no coincidences. Things happen for a reason. Everything's an omen. So I watch. Now, this is the man behind the curtain, right? But I watch to see what somebody selects. Because, when I do an event, I've done a bunch of them. I've done Curious Iguana for 2 years in a row at their Witchy Book Fair. And I'm wearing the shirt, as a matter of fact, for Time Bomb Tattoo, where they had their 25th anniversary at the Frederick Arts Center. And there's a pattern I noticed that in different groups where the groups are in sync, and I'll notice that they'll all pick either the bottom, the middle, or the top. And I've actually stopped at the end. I do a decompression after I do like a birthday party because I make it fun. I do a birthday party, and I'll ask them. I'll say, do y'all realize something? And by the time we're done, I say, I want you to notice which stack you've selected. And I'll point out, it's like, everybody here except for 2 people chose this stack or this stack or this stack. So to me, when I put out my 3 stacks, I say, okay, so now we're going to connect with the universe. What I'm doing is I'm letting the person, I'm letting the room, I'm letting everybody have their intuition come in and say which stack they want to get. And I have my own kind of correspondences to this because I see the bottom stack. This is, I'll do this. How do I do that, as a matter of fact? So yes, so this is the bottom, middle, top. But in my mind, it's reversed. I've never actually analyzed that. But I see this as being on the bottom. Somebody picks this one, I'll say that these are things that are underneath that might be influencing us. This is the bottom stack. This is underneath. And so there we're getting that mindset already. If they pick the center stack, I say this is what's in the middle. This is like the heart. of what's going on. And if they pick the top stack, I will say, this is the things that are on top, right in front of us, that we might not even see. So this is my way of connecting and connecting with the person in front of me, because it's all a ritual. I do the same thing over and over. And I'm sure if I plug myself to a biofeedback machine, my alpha waves would be going one direction, everything. So we select. And then I always do a 3-in-1 in the mornings. And I never say, is this past, present, future, heart, soul, mind, or anything like that, because again, the universe is going to tell us what each one of these cards are. And then for those people who want to, this is one method for reading, is that then I flip the card over and I don't fortune tell. I don't do anything except tell what the card is. The King of Pentacles. And then, what is a king? In real life, a king is somebody, cards are not male or female. They're masculine energy, feminine energy. This is that masculine energy. Kings have to take care of their kingdom. So that means our home. Our home is our kingdom. They have to go to work. Well, we have coins. What are coins? Coins, we spend money. These are things that support our home, our health, our finances, all those things like that. As I always say, things that keep us grounded. So I just kind of describe, this is, the person who has to, could be somebody else, could be us, has to take charge. Making sure things get done. And then I ask, because I see where you stand, I ask, and then see how I talked about the 10 of Wands? Then I'll talk about the burden that we take on. Sometimes I do ask, where is, if you were here in the beginning, I ask, this is where I might even ask, where is your mountain? What do you do? What about being able to share that burden? Because obviously now we've associated this with somebody in charge. Now we've associated with somebody who has, it's the 10 of Wands. Wands are fire and energy and creativity. And I love explaining it like this, that if you have one wand, great, that is, that's a seed. 2, you've got ski poles. But what if you're actually carrying them and you get 5 wands and 7, 9? Sometimes it's like the frog in the cauldron. They say that if you, I don't know if this is true or not, but if the heat is slow enough, they will just stay there and slowly until they boil. And that's us. So again, it's not fortune. It's just explaining what the cards are. And then we have the 4 of Wands. So 4s, like the 4 legs on a table, 4 legs on a chair. Doesn't that just mean stability? And so this is one of those things where we put in the effort. Maybe we've set down 6 of the Wands and we feel, don't we look that much lighter? Look at that. Now instead of wands, we're carrying flowers. So this is telling me, this is recognizing that we take charge, but the burden we put ourselves under. And imagine if we could put 6 of those wands down or have somebody help us with those wands. These people, we ask somebody, or we just say, what? I don't have the spoons. That whatever I was doing is going to have to be late because I'm going to deal with 4 of these right now. And then I always say the advice card, which is the Page of Coins. Pages are our younger selves. Pages are when we're starting something new. Pages want to learn to be the knight. Knight wants to learn to be the king. And coins, we know, are home, health, finances, and things like that. So once I've just described the cards, and court cards could be us or somebody else, the conversation starts. I haven't really read the tarot. I've described to the person in front of me what the cards are. I know what the story is, but I'm going to let you in on a secret with tarot reading. and with psychology, because I used to work in a psychiatric hospital, and I was a 91 Golf behavior science specialist with the Army. But I can tell you what this means. But if you tell me what it means, it gives it that much more weight. And the way we describe the cards as we go through, I think that the person sitting in front of me is going to relate, because this spread is for me, because I've taken on some stuff and I can feel it right now, and this spread is absolutely for something that's going on right now, and I'm connecting with it. And it's reminding me that I don't have to do everything myself. But when we're reading for somebody, if they can tell us that, then we've done our job. Because we're not telling them anything. We're asking them. We're guiding them. The cards, somehow or another, I don't know, nor do I claim it. Somehow the cards seem to just connect with the universe, and they make sense. We're just helping people to see the sense of how that connects to their life. So that's what I do in the morning, and that's how I do my own meditations. And then it's interesting, if you go in and you look at my videos, you'll see I always do like a one line. Okay, I'm going to give you a little bit more of the man behind the curtains. I always do this one line with what is this, what does it mean? And like looking at this, I might say that for today it's like being in charge doesn't mean we need to do everything now. Learn to change. We can learn to change. We can learn to put something down. I'll sit there and think about it for 10 minutes until I come up with one or two sentences that I can put on my video that is just a pithy way of saying what these 4 cards are. Now, that came about because as I had learned, when somebody comes to a reading, we want them to leave with something. So I realize it's like that's my fortune cookie answer. If I can understand enough to give them that fortune cookie answer, here's the explanation, fortune cookie answer. Something to just put a period on the end of it. So that's why I always end up on my 600 plus videos, I put a title on there. I take 15 minutes out of the morning. I do 10 minutes for the reading. Well, actually, I do 5 minutes probably beforehand, shuffling and breathing. And then I take about 10 minutes afterwards just to reflect. So that's what I do with that. So, what time? Oh my gosh, time is flying. So 6:48. Anybody have any questions? It's kind of like your summary journal entry and writing for the day. Yes. So Jenna did that the tarot and journaling class, and the summary is my journal entry, and my book is I can go anytime through the Facebook, and I always take a screenshot of the reading, and I go through and I can see for the week, for the month, for the year, how that reflected on where I was at. So, we have 10 minutes left, and I didn't know if anybody had any questions or anything, but I was going to also share a cool new deck that Mina bought for me. So, here's what's really funny is that Mina is the one that got us into the Ouija board collecting, and I love doing it. And I'm the history person, so I have all the sheet music and I collect all the magazines and things like that. And she also loves the tarot. She can read the tarot, but she knows that I'm the tarot nut. So I don't buy cards for myself generally unless it's a historical deck. But Mina will see like the cool decks and she's like, you don't own this yet? Like she's like, you haven't bought it? So this is a cool deck that she just got me. And it's called the Unveiled Tarot. So I thought I would just kind of show people this. It is this is a artist, John Lonergan's tarot, or pictures within a picture, emphasizing. So this person is a comic book artist. And so you flip this open here, and you can see how, look at that. That definitely looks like a particular politician. And it's the picture within the picture. So I really kind of dig this. There's a couple that I don't connect with, but for the most part, look at the Fool. Then we have the Magician. So, and what is the Magician? The Magician is we take our skills. We have our wands, we have our coins, we have everything. We take our skills and we apply those. So a person who has an engineering degree and can get somebody on the moon, they are the Magician. The High Priestess. Talk about connecting with music. I love this. The Empress. The Earth Mother. This deck just gives me chills. The Emperor. Show the Magician to Evan. You got it. I'll bring this with me tomorrow. Look at the Hierophant. You know, it's originally called the Pope, and that's the Pope in the original card. Yeah, that Empress is really, really something. So in the original tarot, and I have issues with religion. A lot of people do. But we can see that this goes back to something more nature-based and connects the tarot that we know. So I just think this is like one of the coolest decks. Look at the emergency room. That's an emergency room. And we can see the person there. Actually, it looks like the nurse is actually taking care of the lion. So the nurse is there actually giving somebody strength or leaning on their strength to make them heal themselves, to have the strength, to have the will. And here's the Hermit, even in the middle of the busiest day. So, and it just goes on and on like that. So I just think this deck is really, really, really super cool. So, and they continue on with the majors. And look at that. I love that. I love that. So the Two of Swords, and swords are about thoughts and ideas and anxieties. So that to me is freaking pretty cool. So is there anybody who has any questions about anything? Any questions about the history or anything? Good. We're all highly trained experts here. Okay, so putting this away. Another question I get asked is what books here. You know what? It's probably more polite if I show my face. So I'm going to let you in on the secret of the books that I have used. Hold it. Okay. Making sure that I didn't lose the picture. But I was asked a question. Jenna, when do we get to know about your book? Oh. So, Jenna, funny you should ask. My book. And then I'll tell, but now I'm answering a question. Because this is the other inspiration. I need you people to get me motivated. Start writing my book. So, Jenna, let me see what I do with that. Here we go. So just to give you a clue, and don't tell, but, and I'll show you this. Since you're asking, Jenna, I'm going to just show you one quick page. So what I'm going to do with my book is that I'm going to cover the keywords. I'm going to be using the original tarot. I'll have that, and then what the Fool sees. So the whole thing is about the Fool, not the Fool's journey, but what the Fool sees. And I've already started the dialogue and everything else, Jenna. And so here it's like, imagine our Fool has been walking for quite some time and finds himself in the outskirts of a bustling city, seemingly in the midst of a country fair. Music fills the air and people bustle about, indulging in sweet treats and marveling at the odd and unusual spectacles. Our Fool, however, moves freely through the crowd unnoticed, invisible due to his lowly status. And then all I'm going to do is describe what the Fool sees. His gaze is drawn to a figure who stands out from the throng, a street performer known as Le Battleur, the magician. So I'm just going to, and he's going to go from one to the other. So I'm going to tell the story, then I'm going to talk about the card, its origin and insights, comparing it to other cards. Because as I was saying before, it's about connecting in real life. So with my book, what I want to do is I don't want to just use keywords. It's like I want to introduce concepts, how this is in real world. It's like, not what the book says, but what we see. If the Fool walks up to the high priestess, what might the high priestess say to somebody who is as innocent and childlike like that? And somebody who's innocent and childlike like that, who, what would they say or what would they see? And so I have a protagonist who is following, and they're going to be us. And they're observing how the Fool sees the world. And they're going to be learning what the Fool sees. And that's how we are going to learn the tarot, so that we learn the concepts of the tarot to tell a story. So, Jenna, just get on my butt and remind me to write this, because I'm more than halfway through the majors. I'm somewhere close to being more than halfway through the majors. And then I got distracted. And you probably know all about that because you teach us about how to write. So, now, that's that. I've got just a couple more minutes, and somebody was asking about the books. This book right here, not that I have any problems writing in books. It's A Wicked Pack of Cards. It goes through the history of the occult tarot, because that influenced all the books that we read today. So it goes into how the Goblin saw the tarot as Egyptian. It goes into Levi and all these mysterious people that you hear about and things like that. And then reading the Marseille Tarot by J.M. David. This book here actually breaks down the artwork in the cards. It breaks down what somebody would have seen in the 15th century. And so that's why this influenced me so much. I had to go looking for these books because nobody was talking about these things. Nobody was talking about the original pictures and, what they would mean. And, I'm just sitting here just seeing if I can find a good example. Oh. So, our Pope and our High Priest, the Hierophant, these images are just all images throughout history. We've seen them a million times. The Magician's another good example in here. So this book right here, J.M. David, reading the Marseille. Then one last book, and then if anybody has any questions, this is the coolest freaking book out there because this is Tarot and Divination Cards, a Visual Archive by Laetitia Barbier. I probably mutilated that. But she goes into the cards, and then she goes into the history and what the different cards were and how they evolved. Oh, look at this cool picture. So again, the tarot is nothing unique. These pictures were all throughout history. It's just that they added them to the deck. So that picture evolved to that picture. So those are some of my major influences. And then Joe Dvorsky. When I talk about nothing being an omen and that tarot readings aren't just when we flip over a card, but when somebody walks in the room. That came out of this book. I believe this is the book that did that. He goes into some metaphysical stuff and he makes some logical leaps, and a lot of the stuff that he has in here, some of this is not my favorite kind of stuff, but philosophically, I just really connected with him. He's one of the reasons he talks. Joe Dvorsky is the director. If you look up, you'll see all the movies that he's directed. But he's done tarot his whole life. And he's the one that talks about giving back. He doesn't charge and things like that. And it's like, I just wish if I was a millionaire, I could just sit in a cafe and just offer to read people all day. So that is one of the books that influenced me philosophically. So that is it. That has been an hour. And what I want to do, if I get a positive response from this, is that I will start bringing people on. I want to start doing topics. Maybe it's only 30 minutes so that I'm not, boring people. But that's been an hour, and it's been a pleasure for me and a pleasure to see the people that showed up. And so would I mind adding the links to these books in the description? I would not have a problem whatsoever. Andrew Jade. Hi. Hello. Yes. So, Ginger, I will see you tomorrow. I'm going to be in Frederick tomorrow at Soul Aura doing readings, and I'm excited about that. And again, this Saturday at Soul Aura. If you go to Soul Aura, and I'll put a link in here, I'll be doing a class on reading the minors, demystifying the minors. So that's going to be fun too. So with that, let's just see where we go from here. That was a Tarot Tuesday. My life is complete. And I hope everybody has that amazing day or amazing evening wherever you are in the world. And I will be up at 7:45 in the morning doing my morning meditation. So Take care.